It's time now for our interview segment with Inside NAU's Mitch Strohman.
Teresa, thanks again very much. Joining us on Inside NAU today is the director of NAU's E-Learning Center, Don Carter. Don, thank you so much.
Good to be here.
E-Learning Center, what is it? What's its role within Northern Arizona University?
Well, the E-Learning Center is a resource for the entire university. We work with faculty primarily in development and support of online course materials, and we do that across the board. It's for online classes, hybrid classes, face-to-face classes. And I like to say that the E in e-learning is engaging, effective, and efficient. It really doesn't necessarily have to do with technology.
It's interesting, a lot of E's that were non-technology related there. That suggests to me, Don, that the E-Learning Center is a very dynamic, a very energetic organization at NAU.
Oh, it certainly is that, and we get called upon to do all kinds of different tasks, but the main thing that we're really working on now is working on what I call hybridizing or blended learning, and those are two terms that you'll see. But the idea there is that have students do what's appropriate online and have them do what's appropriate face-to-face. And so we'll get the best of both worlds. And if you look at some of the recent literature and data, students are most happy with the blended experience over either the online or the face-to-face. And so that's really the direction that NAU is taking.
Don, I'm fascinated and curious about the Success and Retention Initiative. Educate the viewers to Inside NAU about what that is.
Well, the success part of that is we get lots of students that come here that many of them are not quite prepared for college level work, particularly in the mathematics area. And we have a new program called the Math Bridge program, and that's just been up and running this summer. It's the first time that's happened, where students, they take their placement test when they come to previews in May, and if they don't place into a college level math class, then what we do is give them a variety of options. Take a class at a community college, join our program where they work online. We have coaches, we have mentors. Now that's a program in the math department, but that's one of the things that e-learning supports. So that's the kind of thing we're doing. And then the retention part of things, if the students are successful, then it's much more likely that they'll stay with us. Now, there's another aspect to all of this which I think is interesting. We do have a number of students who, for financial reasons, family reasons, might go away for a semester, and with an online class, they can stay engaged, they can stay on track. And so they may not be in an online program, but they can stay connected, and the hope is that they will then come back and continue their program. So those are, a couple of the different ways that we're working towards success and retention.
You know, Don, you can't really watch much television or listen to much radio without hearing at some point in the day about the cloud. And I'm not talking about the clouds outside here today on Inside NAU. I'm talking about the cloud in terms of electronic technology. Help us to understand, what is the cloud, and further, what's its role in education here at NAU?
Well, I think of the cloud as kind of a new buzzword. If you think back to some of us can think back to the 60s and 70s. And in that time frame, we had mainframe computers, we had terminals, and if you had a terminal somewhere, you could connect to high powerful resources, high quality resources.
Big clunky terminals.
Big clunky terminals. And then there was a time period when we moved to the idea that this was the secure and safe way, and it would give us ready access to our data. That has really kind of, that was kind of out in the wasteland in my mind, because that's the least secure and the least accessible for data, because you had to have it in your pocket, and if you dropped it, you were dead. Now, what is the cloud? Well, the internet is the cloud. The World Wide Web is the cloud. So anything that you can access, the data lives somewhere else, that's a cloud system.
And I'm dating us here, Don, but I can remember having a summer job in college handling mag tapes, magnetic tapes, the big, giant, round magnetic tapes that we would put onto those big tape reading machines on the big spindles and see them spinning around. And now we're talking about literally not having anything physical to store and distribute and manage data, but literally in the Ethernet, if you will, of high technology.
Right. Let me just add that the advantage to this kind of thing, the old mimeograph machines,
yeah.
and faculty would print out the syllabus, they would print out handouts, students would lose them, they'd have to print more, those kinds of things. Those really should more or less have gone by the wayside, because now in the learning management system, faculty can upload all of those resources and have them there available for students. And then the newest part of the cloud really is the social networking aspect of it, which means instead of the faculty member being the source and the provider of all content, students now can interact. And things like Flickr and blogs and wikis, those kinds of things allow everyone to participate. Now we have a resource here on campus. We use the Google Sites and Google Docs, and that's a situation where you can upload content. You can use essentially an online word processor, so multiple people can collaborate and edit a document simultaneously. And so that's a cloud kind of resource. And that's a learning activity that really takes advantage of those resources.
Inside NAU will probably be on the cloud at some point.
Absolutely.
Don Carter is the director of Northern Arizona University's E-Learning Center. Don, it's been a treat. Thanks for joining us on Inside NAU.
Thanks, Mitch. It was great.